Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we will be taking a look at the first 4 episodes of My Girlfriend is a Showbitch, a show where a normal boy is surrounded by incredibly perverted women. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be sure you don't miss the next episodes. We open on a guy and a girl in a field, and the girl tells him she will lift her skirt and expose herself right here and now to him. She says she's not wearing underwear, and as she lifts her skirt and it zooms in, the boy wakes up. He is in class, dreaming. As he wakes up, he sees that the girl in front of him is bent over with her rear in his face, and he yells in surprise. His yell catches the attention of the girl from his dreams, class representative Kosaka. He thinks about how attractive, smart, athletic, and generally good she is, and how he has liked her ever since they started high school. He goes to ask her out when she drops a piece of paper. He picks it up and calls her name. We then cut to the boy, Shinozaki, outside the school wondering if she will show up. She arrives and asks him what it was he wanted to meet up with her to ask, and he nervously blurts out that he likes her and wants to go out with her. She agrees, telling him that while he is her first boyfriend, she will memorize the 40 positions for a good time, as he remarks that his first girlfriend is quite strange, as he smiles at his phone with her contact changed from new friend to girlfriend. A girl named Shizuki jumps on his back asking him to walk home together. She hugs him tightly, saying that they are childhood friends. Another girl, his actual sister, Kanata, appears saying she will walk with him home since he has no girlfriend. He decides to tell them about his new girlfriend when the time is right. As he sits in class thinking about all the stuff he wants to learn about Kosaka, she appears behind him. She makes him uncomfortable by asking him what his fetishes are. He tells her he's normal and to not worry about it. The teacher asks her to bring books to another room and he offers to help. She mistakenly thinks he is into being a bondage slave and starts degrading him. He is weirded out but helps her to carry the books. Once they drop the books off, she says she wants to give him a nickname that will make him tingle, so she calls him Pig. He tells her straight out that this is not his fetish. Later, we see her with earphones in as he comes to talk to her. She tells him that she is listening to topics of men's interests so they will have something to talk about. Initially, he is touched, but when she takes the earphones out, it is just actresses doing arousal moans. They begin eating lunch together, and he asks her for a picture of herself, and she tells him that she has taken many for his arousal, but he complains that that is not the kind he was talking about, and he just wants a nice one of her face. She then sends him one that looks like he busted on her face, and he says he did not want one like that, and to move away from the whole arousal thing. Later, in class, Kosaka overhears 2 girls talking about not being able to get a boy to like them, and she gives them overly sexual advice. As she leaves, they talk about how weird and hard to relate to she is. She wonders if Shinozaki feels that way about her too. She runs into him and asks if she wants to go home with him. She blushes and says yes. The next day, as they are walking and talking about the test they have to take, he brushes a flower petal out of her hair, brushing her ear. She gasps and says her ears are a weakness of hers. He is then bumped by a classmate and the two are mere inches from each other's face. She tells him her excitement is gone and would request a do-over. Later, while they are in class, Shizuku starts teasing him about the sexy magazines he has in his desk. Kosaka asks who she is, and he explains she is a childhood friend. Shizuku then begins to act like they had been doing a bunch of sexual things their whole life when in actuality they had not been. She takes one of the Biz candies and then sexually spits it back out before leaving. Later on, Shizuku jumps on his back and begins pressing her chest into it. Kosaka appears, crackling with jealousy. Shizuku then continues to tease both of them, once again making it seem like she and Shinozaki have had a romantic past when in fact they just played normal childhood games. She takes him to a photo booth to make it up to them but continues to latch onto him until Kosaka finally grabs him herself. After the pictures, Shizuku whispers that it was all part of her plan to get Kosaka to grab him and take pictures with them. The next day, Shizuku is once again being overly involved with them because she is bored. Shinozaki tells her that he will not be entertaining her, and so she grabs Kosaka's chest from behind, saying if he won't entertain her, maybe she will. She then teases him, saying he wouldn't even notice her interference if she and Kosaka had a more intense physical relationship. He warns Kosaka not to listen, as he likes it better when she's normal and not overly sexual. Later in class, he gets a message from Kosaka to meet her in the gym storage unit. He opens the door and she begins cracking a whip while calling him Oni-chan. He immediately shuts the door. She then apologizes and shows him a table of weird sex gear, asking what he would like to use on her. He tells her none, and she pretends like she found a porn magazine in his bag, which she in actuality put there. She opens it and then immediately shuts it, as he remarks that it was more intense than she bargained for. As they go to walk home again, she worries that she is messing up, so she tries to jump on his back like Shizuku does, but ends up knocking him over and apologizing. He tells her that he is just happy that she tries her best. She tells him that she feels relieved that the pressure is off and grabs his sleeve to walk home, addressing him as Harakun, which causes him to blush as he actually likes her best when she is shy and wholesome. It's raining and Kosaka tries to walk home in it, telling him that she heard boyfriends like wet shirts. As she says this, another couple walks by, cuddling under an umbrella. Shinozaki pulls out his own umbrella and asks if she wants to share it, but she says she is not prepared for it, prompting him to wonder why that's the thing she gets hung up on. Once home, Shinozaki's sister watches him from the doorway. She enters his room, laying on his bed and saying he loves her and he can admit it. She freaks out when she finds out he has a girlfriend, becoming jealous and sad, then asking him if she's still his favorite. Kosaka calls him and his sister leaves, demanding he come hang out with her after he is done. She eavesdrops and becomes sad at how well her brother gets along with another girl. The next day in school, she snoops around waiting to catch a glimpse of Kosaka. Upon seeing Kosaka, his sister is struck with how pretty she is. Suddenly, his sister starts proclaiming how close she is with her brother, sharing snacks and cuddling. Kosaka then has a sexually charged fantasy of Shinozaki playing pool while his sister gets turned on. His sister demands to give her a head pat, and Kosaka tells him not to, as incest is forbidden on school grounds, prompting Shinozaki to shout that there has been a misunderstanding. We cut then to Shinozaki explaining to Kosaka that she is misunderstood, and Kosaka says that with a sister that cute, she wouldn't be able to resist if she was an older sister. His sister then appears and says he can hang out with her, and accidentally knocks over Kosaka. Her sister cries and apologizes to Kosaka for causing trouble. Kosaka hands her a handkerchief, and they both say they want to get close to one another. We then see it is campus-wide cleanup week. Kosaka delivers a speech to the boys in class about the time they were too lazy to clean and their mothers had to do it, and found their dirty magazines. Inspired to tears, the boys all volunteer for cleanup week. As Shinozaki cleans up, Kosaka tells him he has to drain the air from the aerosol sprays before throwing it out, as well as the air from any blow-up dolls they find. Shizuku then finds a can of shaving cream and sensually drains it. His sister appears, pretending to be a witch with one of the cleanup brooms. Kosaka sees two guys talking about throwing out old things, and one jokes about that being why he always gets new girlfriends. Kosaka thinks this will mean Shinozaki will throw her away. He tells her, not realizing what she was thinking, that he finds it hard to throw away things he likes. She grabs his shirt, asking him to continue to hold on to the things he treasures, causing him to wonder if she has some sort of attachment to his belongings. We then cut to Kosaka watching a video of a girl giving a lunchbox to a boy while she takes notes to try to be a better girlfriend. She brings him a lunchbox but is fearful that it will not be good. Shizuku shows up and asks to have lunch with them. Her bento box looks pristine, and she brags that food and men are her two specialties. Kosaka begs her to teach her to cook, and she finally agrees after Kosaka gets uncomfortably touchy. We then see them at home, getting ready to learn to cook. Shizuku teaches Kosaka in the most sexually innuendo-charged way, much to Shinozaki's discomfort. There is a briefly tender moment when Shizuku admits to being genuinely happy to have company to eat with, and Shinozaki recalls that her parents always come home too late for dinner. The food itself is delicious, as Shizuku is actually a very good cook and teacher. The tender good cheer turns sexual once more as Shizuku starts talking about coating a banana with yogurt for dessert. She teases Shinozaki, saying she wouldn't mind eating his banana. Finally, having enough of her, he agrees and turns around to get his banana for her. She suddenly becomes flustered and turns away, embarrassed, but he hands her an actual banana. Shinozaki then goes to walk Kosaka to her house. It is raining again, and this time they do share an umbrella. We see Kosaka telling her father that she is bringing her boyfriend home. He feels sad as he knows his daughter daughter's first boyfriend is bound to make his own heart broken. Her mother sends her out as she prepares the kitchen for dinner. She asks her husband to test the stickiness of what she is making, and he wonders aloud what kind of entertainment she is planning. Her mother is flipping through a photo album of Kosaka when Shinozaki arrives early. He accidentally impresses her by mistaking her for Kosaka. They begin to have a strange, sexually charged conversation that oscillates between seemingly normal topics and just blatantly sexual topics. As they talk, the dad watches from behind a door. The dad has flashbacks to when Kosaka was a child, and his wife from the time she was one filled her life with weirdly sexual things to prepare her. Kosaka arrives back home. Between Kosaka and her mother, Shinozaki is very uncomfortable. Seeking normalcy, he tries to talk to Kosaka's father. They misinterpret this as him having daddy issues. After lunch, Shinozaki leaves and Kosaka's father has a flashback to her mother trying very hard to be a good wife while he is away at work, showing that this quality is what attracted him to her. The next day, Kosaka's father walks in on Kosaka's mother giving her advice on her first date with Shinozaki to the movies. As she tries to give awful sexual advice to Kosaka for her first date, her father tells her it is too early for that. Kosaka takes notes on a porn actress's head tilt and thinks this will seduce Shinozaki. As they watch the movie, it is more sexual than Shinozaki expected, and Kosaka takes notes, much to his dismay. Afterwards, he tells her that he had a good time, and she realizes that she was so obsessed with research that she forgot to actually have fun. Feeling bad for her, he invites her to see the cherry blossoms with her next week. She immediately cheers up and begins going overboard planning their date. Later at school, he finds a very sleep-deprived and sick Kosaka. The nurse is also a creepy pervert, causing Shinozaki to wonder why everyone at this school seems to be this way. Kosaka is actually very sick. She spills tea all over herself. Kosaka's mom arrives, and now they are both making weird innuendos. Kosaka's mom takes Kosaka home, and Kosaka is sad because she has to get better before her date to see the cherry blossoms. By Sunday, Kosaka is better, but the blossoms have all fallen off already. Kosaka begins to shake as she is upset and determined to enjoy her date. He tells her maybe they can try again next year, and she is happy because it means he plans on being together next year too. We see two sisters parting ways as one of them, Reina, wonders if she will make new friends at her new school. She is from a super rich all-girls school. She seems normal until she says her favorite hobby is frolicking with hairy males. Everyone avoids her, thinking she is weird. Kosaka introduces herself, and Reina wonders why people don't like dogs here, as she was just talking about her dog. She tells Shinozaki that she doesn't have any experience making friends with boys. She offers to let Shinozaki touch her chest, as that's what her female friends used to do at her old school. Kosaka interrupts, saying they are together. Reina says she has never seen a male-female relationship, as at her old school, everyone was only in a girl-girl relationship, so she flirts with all girls. They try to teach her how to deepen a friendship with a boy. They take her around the school, and she asks Kosaka if she is an A, B, or C. Kosaka thinks she means bra size, but in actuality, she was asking about which lunch option she picks. Reina asks Shinozaki what's a topic both males and females will enjoy. He suggests music. Then they try playing video games, and she once again turns things weirdly sexual. She tries to go to the bathroom with Shinozaki to try and deepen their friendship. He says no, but Kosaka ends up supporting it. Before they can do it, however, Shizuku appears asking who Reina is. Shizuku starts grabbing at Shinozaki, and Reina begs her to teach her how to get that close with her male friends. Shizuku tells her to just use her chest. She asks for an example, but Shizuku does not have the chest to bounce. At the end of the day, Reina thanks them for a good day. She asks if she can consider them her friends, and they say yes. She kisses them both on the cheeks, causing them both to be flustered. The next day, Reina seems upset, and Shinozaki asks what is wrong. She tells him that one of her friends from her old school was no longer her friend. Kosaka promises her she will always be her friend. Reina hugs her and pops all of Kosaka's buttons. Reina then gets into another misunderstanding, describing her dogs as if they are men. Shinozaki asks if Kosaka wants to walk with Reina and her dogs next time. Kosaka thinks he wants to walk her like a dog. Rina says instead of that, they should go on a zoo trip and bring Shizuku. Kosaka seems to have the zoo memorized. She explains that her mother used to take her to the zoo as a kid to show her the mating habits of animals. We cut back to her parents having flashbacks to when they were younger and decide to go on a date to the zoo. We get a montage of Kosaka, Rina, Shizuku, and Shinozaki at the zoo, getting into zoo adventures, but they all end up being weirdly sexually charged. Rina begins petting a dog, and it again turns into a series of sexual innuendo and implications. Meanwhile at the zoo, Shinozaki's sister and her friend are at the zoo. Shinozaki's sister keeps calling her friend by a weird nickname, and she asks her not to call her that, but she says not to be so stiff. Her friend, worried that her nipples are stiff, grabs her chest. We cut to Kosaka's parents looking at animals, first elephants, then pandas. Shinozaki's sister and her friend find a baboon that is said to have a strong breeding prowess. Kosaka's mom says it is amazing to see young people learning such important things. Kosaka's parents come across a crying little girl and try to comfort her. She distracts her with breeding monkeys. Kosaka's father complains about getting old as his feet hurt. He remembers when he did this when they were on a date, and as she did then, she had a great date to the zoo. Shinozaki, Kosaka, Shizuku, and Rina part ways, with Shizuku taking Rina.